Yeah, I'll send you a couple. Oh, hey, we're up. Oh, yeah, dude. The post-Thanksgiving Day groove. Yeah.
World Star.
Hey, guys. I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is this pink cloud. Look, I almost messed it up.
You did
This
almost
is
mess it up.
thispinkcloud.com.
You're fired.
Yeah, right. And we are here for the the 4th episode, and just after Thanksgiving. So we are basically all about helping people obtain and maintain sobriety here.
That's the idea.
If you don't want that, then you can turn us off now. But no, anyway. How was your Thanksgiving there, Professor Nolan?
Better than they have been in the past.
Right?
Better than they have been in the
Do
past.
you have any indicator of why it was better?
Well, I was there.
Okay.
That's a good
You
start.
actually showed up on time.
I was there.
Right.
I was asked to be there and then followed through on that.
Oh,
That's a
nice.
good start for me. No, I mean, the truth is I've been living a double life for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, like family gatherings, were always just full of anxiety and fear.
Right.
For me, because I had to be on point. You know, I had to be at my best, which was getting increasingly difficult as the years went on.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just good to be present. Good to be around people that care about me, that I care about, and good to be sober.
Right.
Good to give them something to be proud of
Right.
instead of just disappointed in. Yeah.
Sure. Well, that's a good
Well, what
thing.
about you?
Had a great, we do the dual Thanksgiving. So mother-in-law first with the wife's side of the family. And then we do dad's Pops Reverb and hang out with
Pops Reverb.
Pops Reverb. And we hang out with that side of the family. And it's an all-day affair. And man, those Cowboys, let me tell you.
Those Cowboys.
Let me tell you something about those Cowboys.
I'm done caring about I don't even care about sports at all during coronavirus.
Yeah, it really has taken away from baseball. I'm missing my streak, by the way. I get a mulligan on this one, but I've been to 25 opening day games for the Rangers, like 25 years because I'm old. But and I didn't get to do it this year.
Yeah,
and
I'm get a mulligan.
I'm mad at the virus.
You do get a mulligan because I think the only way to be in attendance this year was to be a player.
Yeah, exactly. Or
I think your playing days are over.
Maybe with the sports announcing crew.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't know what it is. I guess the crowd was more important than I realized it was, or something. Because I am a sports fan, I just do not find myself, or maybe there's just more going on that seems worth my attention.
Right. Like your own sobriety. Maybe.
I don't know.
Speaking of that, we were talking. We have Dusty Burrows on here in a minute, and he is with Sobar Basics. Let's see. We were out talking about spirituality earlier.
Yeah.
And how that helps you in your sobriety.
Just kind of bouncing that around. So, I don't know for sure about anyone else, but I know about me. I know a little bit about you.
Sure.
But for me, my mind was a big problem. It, for one, all it ever thought about was feeling good, putting something in me to change the way I felt.
Right.
But past that, there were other issues going on there.
Sure.
Maturity issues, responsibility issues, just being generally selfish, always thinking about myself, whatever. The point is, my mind needed to be changed in some kind of way for me to be able to stick around and stay sober any length of time. And, one of the most tried and true methods that humans have used to change their mind for thousands of years is trying to develop a relationship with God.
Or Zeus.
Or Zeus. Yeah, whatever you want to throw out there. Zeus.
Yeah.
You want to go with Zeus?
Zeus, yeah.
You got to be special.
Of course.
Got to go with Zeus. No, in all seriousness, it's a concept that's been around the human race.
Sure.
almost longer than language.
What they might call a higher power.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different one and perceives it in their own special way. Mine happens to be the right way, but
mine happens to be the right way. I like it. No, I mean, it seems to be, it's an idea that all of us sort of have inside, I believe.
Sure.
And whether you pay attention to it or not is totally up to you, but I think that thought is there.
And I think it's important that you definitely talk with your higher power and that you give thanks to your higher power on a daily basis. And, speaking of Thanksgiving, give thanks. And just, I mean, every day I do the daily process, my sober diary. I always say, hey, God, please, keep me sober, keep obsessive thoughts about using alcohol and drugs out of my head.
One misconception that I had was I thought that I had to believe in God and understand everything about God before I started praying,
right,
or trying to ask for help or any of that kind of stuff. I seem to kind of have it backwards. It would be like I've got to be in really good shape before I go to the gym.
Right. I have to dress really nice before I go to an AA meeting.
Yeah. I've got to know how to cook like a chef before I even start trying to cook.
Right. Yeah.
I had it backwards, and I don't know why I had it backwards, but I definitely did. For me, it's something that I've had to put into practice. I've had to put into action in my life. And as I've done that, I feel like I've learned a little bit. I feel a little better as the day goes on. I feel like I've understood a little bit more.
You feel like God is your buddy and he's there with you and helping you along, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a real thing. It's become a real thing in my life instead of some weird abstract thought.
Sure, yeah.
And
aliens controlling us and we're an alien ant farm?
I don't know another way to put it other than that. If you want to get in good shape, you have to go to the gym and you have to actually start running on a treadmill and lifting weights and watching what you eat and all that stuff. I mean, it's just the way it works.
Right.
If I want to develop some kind of relationship with God, if I want that as a real thing in my life that I can call on when I'm in trouble or give thanks to when I'm feeling grateful or whatever it happens to be, then I've got to put in the work. I've got to put in the work. And then...
and that work for you would be what? Prayer and little 12-step
Certainly starts with prayer.
Yeah.
Certainly starts with prayer. And for me, prayer is one of those things where I like to use specific prayers that I might find on the internet or some that we're all familiar with.
Or write your own.
Write your own, whatever.
Right.
I like to do that. And but mostly I like it just to be kind of conversational.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Right.
I like to kind of sit there and stay in it until it becomes conversational.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I do. I mean, just throughout the day, I mean, sometimes it comes through as more of a, oh, God just told me this. And then, or sometimes it's just a thought that, maybe I dreamed up in my synapses somewhere and,
One of the best things I ever heard about prayer, for whatever reason, has always stuck with me is a prayer doesn't change God. Prayer changes me.
Sure.
God is who he is.
Right.
Me praying to him is not changing that.
Sure.
But what it does is it changes me. It changes my mind. It changes my heart. It changes my focus throughout the day.
Sure.
Instead of this being some world that's always against me and my luck is always terrible and these people are all jerks, I start walking around in the world as I'm one of God's kids, and so are they, and it's no big deal. Things slide off my back a little easier. I'm not as easily frustrated.
Right.
That kind of stuff helps.
Right. I agree.
Another thing I do is I read. I read a lot. I try and read a lot of books about people who know more about God than I do.
Right.
Really.
And know sobriety maybe a little better than you do.
Maybe a little better than I do, too.
Maybe that are a little more successful at their own sobriety. And maybe they have some knowledge that you can actually, intake.
Try and read, and then use what I've read and actually apply it in the real world.
Yeah.
Instead of
you'd be surprised it actually works sometimes.
Instead of just letting it bounce around in my mind as some idea that maybe one day I'll do.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, like this show, hopefully this is helping people. But it was just an idea that I had rattling around, and I was like, dude, I've got the. It was one of those God took me to the mountain things, and and then I was like, well, who should host the show with me? Oh, yeah, dude, Nolan would be a great host.
The Professor Nolan.
Yeah, the Professor Nolan. Exactly.
Many leather-bound books. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Not an accredited professor, but a life experience / rehab specialist.
A specialist. That's an excellent feather in my cap there.
There you go.
No, I mean, the thing that I can say about all of it is it's not some abstract thing. It's not some smoke and mirrors thing that is hard to access. I just had to start. I had to start trying. I had to actually start physically praying.
You actually had to.
I had to attend church.
You had to at some level, though, even prior to that, admit defeat. Admit that alcohol kicked your ass, dude.
Sure. I had to get beat up enough by alcohol and drugs to even give it a shot.
Alcohol and drugs biatch.
Yeah, for a while now. It seems to be a theme.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. It's true. I had to get beat up enough by it to be willing to give it a shot. And but it's not required that you get your butt kicked as much as I did.
Sure. I mean, there's all levels of ass kicking that you can have happen to you. And I was lucky to not have a DUI, and all that legal wranglings that goes on with that. So my jumping off point was a good point. And my quality of life has just improved immensely. Like I said to you, every day is Christmas, when I wake up, because I have these great ideas and then I actually do them. I want to make you spew coffee everywhere. No, but I mean, I know it's like I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea.
Well,
okay, let's do it.
Is that coffee?
Yeah. That's Nitro
Brew. Guinness, man.
It's like my 7th Guinness. But Guinness doesn't actually count as a relapse. That's a rule that I just made up just now.
And especially if you're part Irish, then it's part of your heritage. And
I too much caffeine is apparently a requirement for me at this point.
Of course, yes.
I like to feel my heart palpitate. That's when I know it's working.
Right. I like to get into that Beavis and Butthead state, like yeah. I am the great Cornholio.
Well, another thing, if we're back into the spirituality vein, for me, I think the more I can learn from other people's viewpoints, the more I learn about myself, the more I learn about God. We're all here for a reason. We've all got different ideas and different concepts of God. I've got 2 children, okay? And I'm father to both of them, right? But they have a different view of me, They grew up in the same house, under the same rules, but both of them view me differently.
Right.
They have different things that they like about me. They have different ways that they talk to me. We have different things we share with one another. I think it's like that for humans on this planet with their relationship with God. Everybody has their own experiences and might use those to, bring that into the realm of the spirit. So anyways, the reason I bring that up is because we got Dusty with us today.
Right.
It'd be fun to have Dusty come on here. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that here.
Let's do this. First off, we got to give a shout out to our sponsorship, our sponsor, Summer Sky.
Yeah.
They're great people out in Stephenville. It's a little place where Nolan and I met, rehab facility, and it worked for us. So they have a very nice admissions team and good quality people in there, and they'll help you out. And if not, they can at least advise you on a way to, obtain sobriety, even, outside of there.
There's a lot of help out there, guys. Summer Sky is certainly one facility full of good people that are willing to put in the time and the care, but there's a lot of places like that and just a lot of help in general out there. This is not something that is as under the rug as it used to be.
And I know everybody, it being Thanksgiving yesterday, everybody's probably slightly hungover maybe, and maybe thinking about sobriety. So, if you want to hit us up at thispinkcloud.com, and ask us any questions. Feel free to. If you want to give Summer Sky a call, give them, definitely give them a call. And I guess I wanted to touch on a couple of free apps.
Okay.
And then we'll lead into that. But Charles, if you can pull up that one Hazelden app.
Yes.
That I pulled up. It was a few weeks back.
So we talked a little bit about sort of reading in
right.
the morning.
Sure.
Kind of getting your mind right.
Right.
This is something I know that we both use.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's just kind of a good way to get my mind right. There's a thought for the day. There's a prayer for the day, a meditation for the day.
Sure.
And they all generally kind of touch on themes that are helpful to people going through recovery.
Right. And it is a totally free app. So, and you can go, and if you miss it for a couple of days, you can actually go back and read and see what's going on. And you can jump into the future too.
You can jump into the future. I'm a special case. I need to know what tomorrow's meditation is today.
That's right. So I can be prepared to meditate for tomorrow.
Yes, yeah.
And then the next one is actually a really fun app and interactive. It's called I Am Sober. The I Am Sober app, which looks like that. And basically, it's got a day counter in there, which I love because I'm all about the days. 120, I'd have to do the math. 100, see, I need my I'm Sober app.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Otherwise, you'll never know.
Exactly. Well, I don't know when to coin myself out for the next month. I won't know when to give myself the 5th month coin.
Yeah.
So, but they have the day counter in there. They have a quote for the day, which is, usually an inspirational quote from like Mahatma Gandhi and Voltaire and some people you might have heard of. And then also there's a community aspect to that as well, where you can get involved in that. And then also it kind of has a little daily review, like where you, it'll have a daily pledge and then a daily review of, were you able to maintain your sobriety? Was it easy, hard, indifferent, whatever? And it just kind of, it's a technological miracle, as far as, helping, and it's totally free. And speaking of that, let me go ahead and see that Sobar Basics banner from Facebook. Yeah, so this is my friend, and we'll go ahead and use that as our segue because we're professional now.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, so my friend Dusty Burrows is here with us, and he is actually created Sobar Basics, which is a community on Facebook, and it's... people in all walks of life and all levels of sobriety and use. And, it just really, helps people out to see that other people are there with them and in, the same situation that they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you put them on backwards, then we sound backwards. It's like playing an
right.
album
You
backwards.
actually have to have it left and right, and right.
Welcome,
Dusty, welcome. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, well, thank you, and it's good to be here.
Be sure and speak in. There you go.
Yes,
There
thank
you
you.
go.
It's good to be here.
That's nice. I like
Thanksgiving.
Jesse, one of the Oak Ridge boys, you might know him. Love the
my
beard.
Sober beard.
I like
Yeah,
it, dude.
yeah.
So it's gonna be like growing down to your pud.
There's a story behind that. We'll get to that later.
All right, cool.
But Thanksgiving, it's such a joyous time when I'm not in jail.
Right.
What's Thanksgiving like in jail? I don't know that I ever did a Thanksgiving
Did they?
in jail.
Yeah. Did they have?
If I did, I didn't notice it.
Right.
They didn't have cranberry sauce and
What a rip-off.
turkey or anything like that. My mom had to pick me up from jail one time.
Did
on
you have a
Thanksgiving
pimento
morning.
cheese sandwich or something like that?
I didn't get any food. I guess they let me out before breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that
she
happens.
picked me up. I was a teenager, and I was like, "Hey, can you take me by McDonald's?" She was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Right now, you're requesting a Big Mac at 9 a.m. Our whole family's
Hey, why
at
not?
home, I forget what I got arrested for, but that was kind of a long line of minor arrests.
Sure. But so as far as your Thanksgiving this year was good, you spent it with the wife and kids?
With the kids, don't have a wife.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Unmarried,
Right.
single person.
Hey, now.
Yes. Yeah, we usually do, since my brother, he's in the service industry. I had so many years in the service industry, so we just usually pick a day.
Do you want to give him a shout out?
What's up, Cotton Burrows? Yeah.
His name is Cotton?
Yeah.
I like
Dusty and
that.
Cotton. Yeah,
Nice.
he runs the show over at the truck yard in the colony.
Ah.
So he's a busy man. So whenever,
Cool.
and then my niece and my son also are in the service industry. So we just pick a date and we get together. My brother's wife is like the hostess with the mostest during Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and all the holidays. So she usually puts on a big spread. So it's me and my kids and my mom and
Cool.
and then my brother and his
Well, I
wife
bet it
and her
was good to see
family.
them yesterday. Huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. Just dogs and kids and a lot of fun.
And
And hopefully
everywhere.
nobody goes to the ER by the end of the day.
There you go. Hey, that's always a good thing. So let's just jump into this. Okay, what basically you started this Sobar basics, and you did that because obviously you're a service industry guy. But you know what? I guess maybe touch on, and I'm going to go broad here, but touch on why you got sober. You might want to take a pen and take notes, but why why you got sober, where you were at, and then basically rehab, blah blah blah, and then how you got to Sobar Basics.
Okay. Well, my battle with addiction started really young. I think I started drinking at 12. And
you're 47.
46.
46.
This
Okay.
week.
Happy
Or last week.
happy
November
birthday.
12th. I lose track of time.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a good birthday, man. It feels healthy and blessed.
Nice.
Cool. Right on.
But just a little backstory. I come from a long line of alcoholics and addicts and outlaws and lawmen. And from a very early age, I started going to AA with my grandma.
Okay.
Right? She's
Okay.
in recovery from a lot of things. And so I was always told, hey, don't drink. Your dad's an alcoholic. Your grandma's an alcoholic. So-and-so is an alcoholic. We have a lot of alcoholics in the family. If you're in my family, you don't know that, go to therapy. A lot of mental health issues, too. If you don't know that, sorry to be the one to break it to you. Get to therapy. I know some counselors. So anyway, I was warned, if you pick up a drink, you're probably going to have a problem with it.
Whoops.
But something in me, I wanted to grow up really fast as a kid.
Okay.
From a very little kid. I mean, as soon as I was tall enough to walk, I was chasing girls, and I wanted to experience everything in life, good, bad, and the ugly.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I'm taking it all in, and I really liked AA meetings. Everybody was nice. There was a lot of cigarette smoke and potlucks, and I memorized the steps before I was like 10. It didn't keep me from trying.
Sure,
alcohol
I'd
and
like to
drugs.
memorize the steps first and then start drinking.
Yeah.
Which really lent itself to my recovery later on. Because
Sure.
I felt comfortable there.
Right.
Same way with spirituality,
Yeah.
I was raised in a very kind of spiritual environment, very accepting to all religions, and my mom was the reason for that. Like we lived in these, kind of back then, these poor apartments, and church buses would come all the time. It didn't matter which church bus it was. If I wanted to go, I jumped on the church bus, and they didn't have like names on there. Just you got on the church bus, you got dropped off a few hours later. It's a good thing I lived. So I started drinking around 12. Soon I remember, we all kind of remember our first drink, and I just remember, man, this is it for me. I was with some older kids.
I'm in.
This is the plan moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, I felt like the girls thought like I was sexy at 12.
Did you have a beard at 12?
No, not yet. I didn't think I had any hair under my arms.
Well, we'll stop it there.
Yeah. But it felt really good. And, at the time in my life, home wasn't very functional, and, hitting puberty, and that was my ticket. I felt pretty good about that. But I didn't live I lived out in the country at the time. So there really wasn't a lot of opportunity for drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then
In the country, there was no opportunity.
there wasn't. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of
No uncles with a
alcohol
moonshine
around.
still.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there just wasn't. But then I moved to the colony in the 7th grade, and that was a game changer.
What part of the when you say country, what town? I always like
I
to
was
hear
out
this.
off 380 before there was anything out there.
It was
you know?
there was no name for the
Yeah,
town.
it was 380, there was a little thing called the Navo store.
Okay.
And that was it, man.
No, but
Miles
it
around.
wasn't like a county or something.
It was in Denton County.
Oh, Denton County.
And
Okay,
you
I
had to
gotcha.
ride the bus like 30 minutes into Denton, and we lived
Uphill
on a
both ways.
Big ranch, and,
Right.
yeah, so not a lot of opportunities
Okay.
for parties. You went into the skating rink, and I didn't have the hookup at the skating rink back then.
Wow.
So moved to the colony, and I started drinking, experimenting with weed and pot, and my mom found out when I was 13, sent me to charter. You guys know
Nice.
charter?
Yeah.
You know?
Crack the whip early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she had started getting into therapy, you know, and she's like, "Well, I got to break the cycle, right?
Yeah.
So I got to put him
Yeah.
into treatment." So I went into treatment at 13. I think I was still a virgin and hadn't really done a lot of drugs yet, but I learned really quickly.
Yeah.
How to do drugs
you can get,
successfully.
You can get
Yeah.
educated at an
What I
adolescent.
wanna
Oh
do
yeah,
is
it's like going to prison,
Yeah,
like the whole
exactly.
thing. Now I know how to properly rob and get caught and not get caught.
So I graduated from charter and I hit the ground running. I was like, I want to experience all of that.
Right.
And it didn't take me long to get involved in that. So it was pretty soon after that. It's cocaine, acid, you know, whatever I get my hands on, pills, ecstasy, all the things, you know. And I think, you know, first needle experience was around 15. And I was like, you know, I don't want to do this a lot. I just want to try it all, you know.
Right. Yeah. Just sample it, just so I know.
As if you can
Right.
make those decisions
Yeah.
and follow
Right.
through.
You know?
Yeah, I like it.
I learned later on that you're probably not supposed to shoot up Jack Daniels. Also.
Well,
Yeah,
now I have not tried. Have you ever tried that, Nolan?
Yeah, vodka, not Jack Daniels.
Oh, okay.
I thought if it was clear, it was probably more
It was
know,
better for you. It
probably
was
safer.
better for your platelets.
something.
That was how crazy we were. We were just kids, and
Sure.
there really wasn't a lot of consequences back then. But around the time I started driving, you know, I was venturing out, meeting different people. I was
Right.
popping up at places like, you know, Fish Dance and industry
Hey.
stuff, you know.
I was
And,
playing at Fish Dance.
Yeah, and so I was sneaking in those little places. And
Sure.
so you know, my social group expanded, and my ability to find and consume drugs is expanded. And so then I found myself in rehab again, not necessarily because I had become addicted yet, but because my lifestyle decisions were getting me into some trouble. So I got arrested and back to charter. You know,
Right. Yeah.
same
No, this
counselor.
is part 2 of Charter, and you were 15.
15, 16, something like that, yeah. So same counselor, same psychiatrist. In fact, that same counselor is still my counselor sometimes.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So that was the beginning of a beautiful therapeutic relationship.
Yeah.
Shout out Gary Carpenter.
Nice.
So, and it was then really that I kind of really go, man, I like this counseling stuff, you know?
Yeah, uh-huh.
I like talking about my feelings.
Right.
I like getting in people's heads, and I thought maybe I want to do this one day, you know. But obviously, I was 16, you know, so it was just kind of in the back of my head. So I get out of charter. You know, I tried to be good for a little bit, and then back to the same old behaviors, you know,
Right.
back to the drugs. And then I discovered the service industry at 18.
Uh-huh.
I started waiting tables.
Okay.
And I had money in my pocket all the time. And
Yeah.
I was driving, I had a cool car, and friends were cool. And man, I was all over Dallas, and it was a good times back then. I mean, we're talking like, I don't know, 94.
Sure.
A lot of fun
Lizard
stuff.
Lounge?
Yeah, Lizard
Right.
Lounge all the time, man. If I wasn't,
I was there.
yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah,
was
I know
either
that
getting,
dude.
yes, you know, sneaking in Lizard Lounge or getting kicked out of Lizard Lounge. But
There you go.
That was like the epicenter of our social
Oh
life,
yeah, for
really.
sure. Lizard Lounge was
with most people around Dallas back then.
on.
And so yeah, you know, fast forward a couple years, you know, got out of high school successfully. That was a, you know,
Yeah,
by the
right,
grace
right.
of God, but I was never. I never struggled in school, so that kind of came easy to me. And I thought it was going to be the same way in college. Not quite the same.
Yeah.
Dropped out of college
Which
early
college
on.
was that?
I went, I did the Quad C,
Oh, yeah.
Collin County. I
Sure.
did the Brookhaven, Harvard by the Highway.
Nice.
I even got out of town for a geographical change and did the Tyler Junior College.
Because that's always
All the
going to
way to
help.
Tyler.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So no success.
no
and
success. Yeah, I was kind of moving around there was something in me that wanted to be better.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I
So
didn't
when did
know
you?
how to
So
get
that's
just
a really
just
good
to
way to
kind of
put it.
jump forward. So at what point did you get sober? How old were you? Was
39.
39, and you've remained sober since 39?
No, no.
Oh, okay, you've had a relapse.
My recovery started at 39. My 20s were just lots of drugs,
Sure.
cocaine every day,
Sure.
alcohol. 30s weren't much different, but I was trying to maintain being a father, being a good boyfriend to their mother, which I was a complete failure at.
Right.
But then at 39, I was near death, man. I had pancreatitis. I
Yeah.
was down to 145 pounds.
Sure.
In and out of hospitals, in and out of jail. And I was literally dying.
Right.
So I packed the kids up in the car and drove down to Padre Island where my mom lived.
Perfect.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right near Mexico, Matamoros. I mean, it's it's all good stuff down there.
So here
I
am.
understand the logic, though.
Right.
That's the sick part. I'm like, I can see that working.
Well, part of it was, who still has my back at this point. And
Yeah.
probably the only person that did was my mom, and
Right.
she's always been maintained as my
And-
biggest supporter.
And
my
there is
rock.
always this idea, I know I had it, where like, it's this town I'm in. I got to get out of here. It's these
Yeah, I
people
love
I
that,
know
yeah.
and the places I go. And
Sure.
then if I go somewhere else, then I'll start over. I'll pull myself up on my bootstraps. I'll get my act together. And then we'll take on life. And it didn't
Just
go
as
that way.
long as I can
But I understand
go from
the
this
logic. I
town to
understand
that
the thought
town.
process.
And that's exactly the process that we are, that geographical
Yeah.
solution. But I created the same exact environment.
Oh, yeah.
When I got a bartending job,
Right.
chasing the girls, found myself a good Coke dealer. And I just created the same thing. So I went down there with, of course, good intentions, because every time I wanted to change, it was always good intentions. I really sincerely wanted to change.
Right.
For
Of
myself,
course.
for my kids.
Yeah, I think all addicts, fundamentally want a change at some point when you're realizing
At some
you're
point.
having problems. you know?
At some point. Yeah, you get to that weird spot where you can, I'm not a fool. I know this is not working
Right,
for me
yeah.
or for anyone.
Right. But how long can I keep it going?
Yeah.
And then just that
So you-
admitting,
Yeah.
utter defeat.
So you go down to Padre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in North Padre, and I found a good AA group there, and I was in and out of detox a few times at Charlie's Place and some other place called Bayview, where they detoxed me, and then they gave me 100 hydrocodone on the way out.
Which always helps
perfect.
with your detox.
Yeah.
That does help.
Yeah, so I was back in detox a week later.
Yeah.
At Charlie's Place.
And I had taken,
Charlie's Place,
I
don't go
would,
to Bayview.
I'd taken all the hydrocodone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now I was back in for opiates.
Well, good on you for lasting a week with 100.
You should
Yeah,
have seen
right.
the look on my family's face when I get discharged with the pills.
Hydrocodone.
This is detox. What is this all about? I was like, hey, he prescribed them. What do you want to do? He's a doctor. So I was in and out, and I think like the last time I was in Charlie's Place, man, it was just miserable. They kind of knew me by name. It was just me and some gang members and some homeless guys, and I was like, is this what I want out of life, And I just kind of had one of those God moments,
Sure.
And I was like, I got to do this thing. So I got out. I started going to my home group, Sunset 7, North Padre Island. Very supportive bunch of folks, very small group. And I stayed sober for a year. And I had started going back to school. I was like, I want to be a counselor. So I got
Right.
I got to go back, get my basics done. And things are going pretty good. So after a year, my dad had passed away, and I, had a couple drinks here and there. And so I started drinking a little bit. And, I was like, well, I got to keep an eye on this. I know it could go wrong. But, of course, fast forward a couple of years, it just blew up in my face again.
Right.
So my recovery journey started at 39, but then I just celebrated 3 years of sobriety.
Cool. Hold on. Wait. Golf clap.
Congrats,
Golf clap.
November 5th.
That's great.
Okay.
So talk about Thanksgiving, 3 years ago, I was in treatment.
Right.
I was already working in the recovery business. I'd working on licensures and stuff like that, really trying to do some good things.
Sure.
But addiction doesn't care what you're trying to do.
Right.
That's a very good
Kind of gets in the way.
And I heard Brandon Novak said,
Seems to be a reoccurring theme here.
Yeah.
No, because I actually talked to his agent, so hopefully we'll have him in December.
oh man,
Yeah.
his talk on YouTube is
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
Oh, I know.
great.
We totally related to it in rehab and watched it twice even, and his story.
He's like, I have this disease that tells me I don't have a disease.
Right.
Cancer
It's
doesn't
true.
do that.
Right.
Diabetes doesn't do that.
Right.
But addiction does.
Yeah.
And so I woke up in the ICU 3 years ago. I'd been there for 15 days, right? And that doesn't happen when you just have a few too many drinks.
Sure. Right.
So I woke up and I'm tied
Most
down.
normal folks don't end up in the ICU for
Yeah.
15 days tied down.
Yeah, like all of my appendages, and I had some tubes in me and all that stuff, and thank God they didn't shave my beard. But they were
Yeah.
like,
Right.
you ready to go to treatment? I'm like, I'll go anywhere if you just untie me.
Just don't shave my beard and get this catheter out of me.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of restraints.
No, me either.
No.
And apparently I wasn't a fan of catheters either because I kept trying to pull that out. But I went into treatment shortly after that at Windmill Wellness Ranch in Canyon Lake. Had a life-changing experience there. Wonderful treatment center, awesome staff. What was so encouraging is all the staff there was in recovery, and
Yeah.
I was observing them all day,
Oh, yeah.
more than I was doing a lot of other things. I was just watching these people in recovery, and they're hugging and loving on each other, and they're doing things after work.
What's
and
wrong
they're
with
talking
them?
about all this cool stuff,
Yeah.
and I'd never seen that before. Like with people that I would want to be peers with, they were
Yeah.
they were cool,
Right.
and I was like, I gotta have that. Why can't I have that? And I was like, I got to get out of here and create that.
Sure.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's what I want.
Right.
And so I got out, and that's what I've tried to do ever since. Having had a multiple near-death experiences, that one was really close.
Right.
And I had, while I was under, I had quite a spiritual experience that it's hard for me to put into words. I've
Sure.
always shared with a few people, and
Well, now share it with a couple thousand.
man, it's hard to put into words, but there was a divine intervention. I remember it very clearly while I was under,
Sure.
being in a very, very dark place and just kind of being delivered up from that. And,
Right.
maybe if I'm sitting at a Starbucks with you, I'll tell you in detail. But it was
Okay.
a beautiful thing, and it set me on the course that I'm in. It's been a pretty steady course.
Right.
Since then, I have my challenges like everybody else, and I have my tough days like everybody else. But I've tapped into my purpose, and I've tapped into my community, tapped into my spirituality, unlike I've ever.
Well, and
done
speaking
before.
of that, I have tapped into your community as well. And we also have a few mutual friends, probably about 500 mutual friends.
3 huge words you just used there.
Oh.
Purpose and spirituality and community. I mean, I think purpose was what I was searching for my whole life. I just didn't know it. I was just trying to find it somewhere. But anyways, yeah, very cool story. Maybe sometime we'll go to Starbucks and talk about it. I love I can't explain mine to anyone either. The only thing I know for sure is that I know for sure what it meant to me.
Yeah,
You
and
know
it
what I
was
mean?
real. It was real as real can be, and
Yeah.
it's real to you, and that's what matters.
And I'm a skeptical human.
Sure, yeah.
So-
you're a very scientific, yes.
So for
Prove
me to
it
know
guy.
for sure is
Yeah.
is a big deal to me.
Sure, I
But,
gotcha.
Cool.
But
Okay.
what I was going to touch on is you created Sober Basics, and you did that about 3 years ago, right? Right.
It's a
when
little
you
longer
got
than that.
sober.
But I started it when I was still in Padre Island with plans of moving back to DFW because this
Okay.
is my home. And I was on some really cool service industry sites, and I started getting tagged by people when people would talk about wanting to get sober, needing to get sober in the service industry.
Right.
Because I was sharing my journey on Facebook. I'm kind of Facebook whore, and,
Yeah.
and so I got tagged. They're like, hey, this person's trying to get sober. So I was like, I'd already had the idea, and I was like, today's going to be the day. I'm going to start it. I come up with this acronym, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, what can we call it? Sobar, sober bartender. Okay,
Yeah.
done. What's another acronym? Basics. I was like, bartender and service industry community support.
See, now I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
Now you know.
Now I know, dude.
So that's where it comes from. It is Sobar for short, and so I wanted to design something for people in the service industry who are looking for support, who thinks, oh, I'm the only server, or I'm the only bartender, or manager, or owner,
DJ,
or DJ, or hairstylist, or stripper that's trying to get sober, because it's all service industry, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we all come from somewhere, so no judgment. It's all inclusive. So I wanted to create something for the service industry where we come together and support one another.
And I love it because, you know, there's people from all over, all walks of life in their sobriety and in their journey. And it's great because, you know, I mean, I'll get the little notification and I'll sit there and read it and just, you know, at least give them a thumbs up or a care.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think there's an idea out there that it's an industry that will either be difficult to get sober in or you can't get sober in. I mean, I've even had counselors I've been in the service industry forever. Hotels specifically. Yeah. But I've had counselors tell me, oh, you may need to change jobs if you're going to do that.
Sure.
I don't know. I can get loaded anywhere and I can get sober anywhere. You know what I mean? It just depends on what I do.
That brings up another thought because you were talking about there's sober bars now, right?
Yeah, there's sober bars.
Because God knows we all love a good bar here, right? So, but having a bar that's actually alcohol-free environment is a cool thing. So
yeah, they're popping up. I know there's some overseas. I know there's some in New York, LA, and Austin. People have reached out to me numerous times. You know, say, why don't you open up a sober bar? And I'm like,
there you go.
Let's fund it. So
yeah,
you know,
there you go. Hey, it's out there.
We got the time. You know,
right.
And so, you know, that's kind of an idea in the back of my head. I kind of have some plans for that, but that's a long story.
Okay.
But it's kind of controversial too, I found out, right? Non-alcoholic beers, mocktails, right? These protropics or something like that. You know, they have these natural
probiotics.
something like that.
Yeah.
Nootropics.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
I gotcha.
And so I've gotten mixed feedback from it, but
and
you know,
an oxygen bar you can have set up there. Yeah.
Yeah, my thing is whatever works for you.
Yeah,
that was part
I
of
hear
the theory behind Sobar. If it works for you, share it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't. If it doesn't work for you, then don't do it. Really,
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the sober bar thing is pretty cool. You'll notice around town now, if you check the drink menus, you're starting to see a lot more non-alcoholic things. There's actually a kind of a nerdy non-alcoholic a beer group on Facebook, and that's actually a pathway to recovery for some.
Right.
They're like, I wouldn't be sober if it wasn't for me being able to drink these, you know, IPAs on the weekend, you know, with my boys.
Right.
So whatever works for you, and if it's a trigger for you, then don't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I got a question for you. So you've had this up and running for what, like you said,
5 or 6
years. So what, like, you know, without getting personal or naming names, what have you seen, like, you know, I mean, just maybe something that pops to your mind, you know, as far as maybe a person in need or somebody that got help because of this, or, you know, just whatever comes to your consciousness right now.
Oh, man. I've had so many people reach out to me privately and say, hey, I'm in this industry and I thought I was the only one. And because of the support that I receive in this group, I'm sober. I've had people reach out to me and said, I joined Sobar when you first started it. And because of Sobar and the support that I get there, I'm still sober years later.
Right.
Right. And that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
know? And the reason I wanted to be all inclusive is because I looked at some other groups, and I don't want to name any of those groups, but they were kind of shaming and pointing fingers and say, you can't do it this way, you got to do it this way. If you don't, you're not serious about your recovery.
Right.
Well, recovery, you know, I like the principles of SAMHSA, you know, it's all inclusive, do what works for you. And so I want to just be supportive, you know, and so come to our group. You're never going to be ashamed. You're never going to be judged. We're just going to support you. And if you are successful in your recovery, share how you're doing that so other people will hear it.
Right.
And if it's something you don't like, go ahead and keep that to yourself, you know.
Right.
You don't have to share that, because the thing that you knock might be saving somebody else's life.
I totally agree. I mean, you know, different strokes for different folks, for sure.
So I mean, multiple pathways concept is, I take that to heart. You know?
We share what works and we share what doesn't.
Right.
And then we sort of, you know, piecemeal a program for ourselves based on that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the only thing we got against this. There is no
Right.
magic pill.
Yeah,
There's
like
no
I
shot.
said,
There
like-
is no shot we can take.
Like we
as of
said the
yet.
other day, you know, if there was a magic pill and I was holding out on you, you would take too many.
I would. I'm not very good at instructions. But if 1 gets me sober, then what does 7 do?
Exactly.
Oh, he's super sober.
I will be so.
I am
I'll float
I
above
am
the rest
so
of you.
more sober than you, man.
No, but seriously, you know, I know what you're getting at there. You know, talking about that, and absolutely. I mean, we've already encountered that just in 4 episodes. There are things that work for some people that, as I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, I tried that. That failed miserably for me. But it's working great for that person. And, you know, we're all a little bit different. The only thing we all really have in common, aside from addiction and recovery, is that we all need help, you know,
Sure.
together.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, you know, somebody trying to white knuckle it on their own, that's a tough thing. I mean, I can't. I'm not saying it can't be done.
Yeah.
But it's much easier when you got your
Oh, it
crew
absolutely
with you,
can
you
be
know?
done.
Yeah.
I've seen it done.
Yeah.
But it's also about stacking the deck in your favor a little bit.
Right.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? You want to go at it your own and hope you're the 0.08% or whatever, then have at it.
Sure.
I'd like to put my cards, you know, on a winner.
Right,
Kind of thing.
sure.
So, but yeah, so 5 or 6 years, give or take, it's been going on. Sobar Basics, very cool site. I'll be getting an invite from Kelly later today. He showed it to me.
Well, if you have a freaking profile,
I know I'm a little bit of a.
come on.
You're
I mean,
a
it's-
Facebook whore. I'm the opposite.
Yeah, he's
That's
anti.
probably very healthy, though.
I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know. I'm like the last holdout on planet Earth. It's you know, I was on it for like 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden, ex-girlfriend started tracking me down, and I was like, all right, that's the end of that.
Well, now, but now you're
Organization.
under. Now you'll just create a profile under the Professor Nolan. so,
Yes, I
yeah.
will.
I've had a lot of professors in my life, and they all teach me something different. This isn't new. I like this.
Well, yeah. Well, I am a self-appointed professor.
Well, no,
A
self-appointed by
Kelly-appointed
me.
professor.
Well, because in rehab, he would always, you know, like somebody would come up and ask me a question, and go, "Hey, what?" I go, "I don't know, man. Ask the professor." So
We
that's
had no internet access. I was the
Yeah.
closest thing to Google.
yeah, exactly. So
And if I didn't know, I'd just make it up.
there you go.
It's been going well for almost 40 years now.
Right there you go.
Well, you taught me something about glitter. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Hey, it's true. It's true. If you think about it, it's just metal shavings that you're letting your kids
Exactly.
play with.
It's like sand in your eye. Now let's give Nolan a complex about going to the beach because sand is basically
sand
the
doesn't
same
have 4 sharp
concept.
corners.
It's the same concept. It's the same. It's God's glitter.
It's God's
Sand
glitter?
is God's glitter.
All right.
It could get in your eye, dude.
I enjoy the beach. Thanks for
You
ruining it
might
for me.
want to not go to the beach, and if you do, you might want to wear some excessive eyewear so you can you can stop.
So you talked about alcohol and cocaine.
As Nolan gets off the subject.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with it. The anxiety's building. I got to get out of glitter mode. No, you talked about alcohol and cocaine, hugely pervasive in the restaurant business
Oh,
and service
absolutely, yeah.
service industry. Anything else that you would say was kind of your Achilles heel, or at least gave you the most trouble? Put
Yeah,
it that
towards
way.
the end, you know, we try some different things, right? So I started using painkillers towards the end, and I was like, okay, no alcohol. I'm going to try these opioids. I was like, I feel great. Man, I'm a little itchy.
Yeah.
Right? But
That goes
and
away. You
so
can work through that.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. But then I worked myself into the addiction, and then I was like, okay, well, sometimes I can't get the opioids, so I'm going to get some of these Xanax bars. And so
Straight
then-
Xanax or
yeah. So I'm doing Xanax and I'm doing opioids and I'm drinking. And so what the last couple of times on detox, I was having to detox from quite a bit because there was always something. Oh well, I can take these painkillers and I can work on those.
Yeah.
So why not? So I tried all these different maintenance programs,
little combos.
opioid maintenance program, the Xanax maintenance program, just the beer and wine.
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't do just the weed. I just
Well, and
I just get
speaking
too
of
high.
Brandon Novak,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I don't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
When I was like 17, that's one thing, but now it's like, it's no.
Speaking of Brandon Novak, though, he tried the wine diet for a while. that didn't work so well.
I'm looking for functionality a little bit. you
Right.
know, and
I did
can't-
the cider beers. I didn't think anybody could smell them, but
Right.
True.
Yeah.
Not
This
true.
apple juice.
It's apple juice that smells like
Yeah.
rubbing alcohol.
You know, opioids definitely bring in a different element of that, having to have it, otherwise you're physically ill, and that can be tough to deal with. I know from experience, but yeah,
because I messed with the heroin in my 20s, and being a kind of a cocaine guy, you know, I could do all the cocaine, and I tried that with heroin, and woke up. They were going to throw me in a dumpster. I think I heard one of you guys telling a story about that before. I woke up, I was surrounded by skinheads, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to put you in the dumpster, man." But you woke
good
up.
people. Good
Yeah,
people.
so that's how we were rolling back then.
Yeah.
So I realized heroin was not for me really early on. Thank God.
Yeah.
Who knows if I'd still be here if I really kept up with that, but yeah.
Well, so we have about 10 more minutes. So is there anybody you want to shout out to or give a thanks to or, plug?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to say, first of all, Sobar is open to everybody now, not just people in the service industry.
It is a private group, though, which
group.
is good. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, we keep that private. So if you have an interest in sobriety, whether it just be for the month of November.
Hey, mic it up.
If you have an interest in sobriety, whether it be temporary or permanent, whether you're sober one day or 20 years, we got a guy in there 20 years plus sober.
Sure.
It's for you. It's drugs, alcohol, even mental health issues, right? So
For sure.
if you're in recovery from PTSD or schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or whatever.
Shout out to our veterans out there for sure.
Shout out. I got diagnosed with PTSD a few years ago, and I was already in the mental health industry, and all of a sudden I had this epiphany. My counselor and I sitting there, I was like, how did I not figure this out before?
Yeah,
When
right.
I'm out there talking about trauma all the time. And so that was a game changer for me too.
Sure.
Being mindful of my trauma and my PTSD when I was triggered, when I was getting angry, when something would happen and I'd start to go back to that place when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge, man. And I didn't know why I didn't. Maybe the blinders were too thick. But once I was aware of that, it was just as important to be mindful of that as my addiction. So mental health and addiction, they go hand in hand. I don't know why we've had them separated so many years, but we call them co-occurring disorders. I don't know any person with substance use disorder that hasn't had a co-occurring issue, whether it be, they're depressed and anxious, and that's why they used, or they used and they became depressed and anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chicken or the egg.
Yeah. I got sober, and my anxiety and depression pretty much went away, aside from, the typical day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
But some people are going to struggle with that for a very long time.
Sure.
So we want you to be supportive there. So it's welcome to anybody who needs support, whether it be addiction, mental health, multiple pathways of recovery. And we do some fun stuff. We did paintballing on Saturday. We met for dinner. We went out and hung out at the truck yard afterwards. Sunday, we had a day at the lake. We did kayaking, we did mountain biking, we did a cookout. We teamed up with the Phoenix Recovery. The Phoenix, by the way, is a sober community that's based around activities and fitness from all levels, and they have a DFW chapter here, so you can go to the Phoenix.org.
I need to get on that. So
I think it's going to be the big thing in recovery nationally and hopefully internationally.
Right.
Talk about community, instantaneous.
Oh, yeah.
And they do activities every day, no cost. All they ask is 2 days of sobriety.
Wow.
Probably so you don't have a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
just want to make sure
you got 2 days of skin in the game.
Yeah, right.
Are you done sweating yet? Come on.
Yeah, right. Well, Nolan, you wouldn't have, if it was a sweat issue, you wouldn't have been able to come in for what is it?
I had a bit of a difficult detox.
Yeah,
Let's just say
a little
that.
overactive sweat glands.
Are you supposed to lose like 20 plus pounds in 4 days?
Right. Well, I definitely want to give a shout out, of course, to JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network.
Yeah.
For having us on and for bringing us into the fams. And then, of course, shout out to Summer Sky, for sponsoring our show and believing in us. And I think we're going to do a personal appearance out there. Go ahead.
I had one more thing. I can't get out of here today without a huge shout out to our team at Texoma Community Center. That's where I work as a counselor in the substance use disorder.
And you are
department.
LCDC, correct?
I am an LCDC.
Oh.
And I am a licensed professional counselor intern until a few more weeks when I get my license and I finish my 3,000 hours to be an LPC. So that's
Nice, dude.
Way to
7-year
follow through, man.
project.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude,
Way to
good
follow
for
through.
you. No, I mean, good for you. And
Thank you.
isn't it a nice feeling to actually be able to follow through on some stuff? Like actually think about it and then do it.
Yeah, sitting on
kinda
a bar
fun, right?
stool going, man, I want to be a counselor one
should
day,
be a
but I should
counselor,
probably
man."
stop doing cocaine and drinking first. And then
Right.
here I am. So I have worked with a wonderful team, and we're doing huge things out in Sherman. So if you're in Sherman or Grayson and Fannin and Cook counties or anywhere around there, you need some assistance, and reach out to me. DustyLeeBurrows@yahoo.com.
All right.
Okay.
I got
And
a
is
buddy of
your
mine
is your
I'll
by the
let you
way,
know
is your address or your email on the Sober Basics where they can reach you direct?
No, you could usually
Just
just
message?
hit me up on Facebook
Messenger.
and send me a
Okay.
message on Messenger.
Perfect.
I'm really easily accessible, and I try to get back to everybody
Perfect.
in a timely manner. So if you need resources, support,
Yeah.
or whatever, I might be asleep. I'm old now. I go to bed at a decent time.
Right. And now
Back to you
that
in the
now that
morning.
you have your BiPAP machine, and now you're sleeping like a baby.
Like a baby.
I love it.
I'm a
Like a
man.
baby.
I love it, love it, love it. So, but yeah, shout out to Summer Sky and shout out to Sober Basics and all that good stuff. And then we'll have some fun guests coming up, I promise. But we are in the process of booking right now. And like Dusty said, that reach out to Nolan and myself via thispinkcloud.com because we have a lot of knowledge. Maybe Nolan has about 7 years experience of being sober and then reusing and relapsing, but he's got definitely some knowledge as far as rehabs and treatments and all that good stuff.
And more than anything, I think all three of us are willing to put in the time and actually care.
Yeah, for sure.
It's important to me.
I mean, we have
people did it for me.
Nolan and I
have
have a buddy, Kane. Shout out. We're looking out. He's from rehab. He relapsed, and then he got back out again. And we're just trying to keep his head in the right place, keep him involved to where he doesn't get back to that bad place to where he's like, oh man, I got to use.
Yeah. Well, people loved me when I was not lovable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
People helped me when I was not worth the help.
Right.
And so, I owe a debt. That's the way I look at it.
You got to pay it forward.
Whatever I can do to pay that back. And anyways, let's bring it around full circle too. We talked a little bit about spirituality in the beginning, and you kind of touched on it a little bit too. What are things that you do to kind of get yourself in that headspace or practice that on a daily basis, like practical things that you do?
I try to tap into my God consciousness, the positive energy. I pray on a daily basis. I'm very grateful. I try to tap into my gratitude and the positive energies, that I have in my life. We live in a very chaotic world, right? Mm-hmm. And there's two boxes we can tap into. I can tap into the things that are going good and the things that align with my purpose and the things that support people, or I can just be hyper focused on the ugliness, right? And
you can tap into that box of wine.
Yes, yeah, which are totally screwed too. Right. So I stay focused on the positive vibes, the positive energy, the positive spirit, and pray that God helps me with that. Because on my own I can't do it. Yeah. I'm too distracted. My mind's crazy. Yeah. And it doesn't mean I'm not aware of what's going on, but I keep that back here. Yeah. And I got to check on it every now and then. It's still there. It ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, right.
But I stay future focused, purpose focused, and
cool.
That keeps me aligned with my spirit and the positive energies of the universe. Because I like to be able to have these conversations with people that maybe they're not into God or Jesus, but they can talk about positive energy and positive vibes.
Right.
And the idea of pronoia, with the universe is conspiring in your favor.
There's a way in for just about anybody.
Right.
I haven't met a single
just
person that we couldn't find a way in yet.
Sure. I agree. I agree 100%.
And the point is to start.
Yeah, or
To
just
start,
to give
to
it a
try.
try. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love
And it goes where it goes. That's the fun of the journey too.
And I'll bring this up again because I always love what you say is, if you think you might be an alcoholic or an addict or something, try and quit.
Try and quit. I mean,
Try
one
and
of two
quit.
things. One of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to quit, which is probably positive for your life.
Right.
Or you might fail.
Yeah.
And if you fail, then chances are you're going to need some help next
Right.
time you give it a shot. And that's what folks like Dusty, myself, Kelly, Summer Sky, shout out to Charlie's Place in Padre that helped save this man's life.
Yeah, for sure.
There's lots of help out there. And you don't need an insurance card or $1 million or a bunch of connections.
It might be a phone call or an email that can start your journey to sobriety.
There's lots of ways to get this done.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you're trying, don't give up trying.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. For sure. You got to fight the fight. You got to want it.
Yep.
You know, for sure.
We got resources out there for people who have no money and resources out there for people who have all the cash and
Right.
everything
Sure.
in between.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Well, I
Cool.
think that's a good note to wrap it up on. Dusty, we appreciate your time.
Thanks, man.
And for making the journey out here. And we'll definitely have you back on in the future. And if I don't get a Sober Basic hat, I'm going to be mad at you. And
You have to feed his hat addiction.
exactly.
Yeah. I got y'all covered.
I have
got you
I
covered.
have a very strong T-shirt and hat game. So
A strong T-shirt and hat game.
that's right.
Happy Light Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, and reach out to us if you need us. Love you, and see you next week.
Hi, Austin and Sydney. Love you guys.